What's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? This is Twin Flames Unite, and we are at it again. And if y'all don't know by now, I'm Chris. What up? And this evening, y'all, we have some really juicy stuff to go over with you all to tell y'all what's going on behind the scenes on a lot of things. We have a lot to share. But as you come into the room, we definitely ask that you all give us that thumbs up. Let us know that what we're doing here in the community is helpful. And also, if you're new to the channel, we do ask that you do subscribe.
Yes, welcome. If you're new, welcome.
Now, this evening, we're going to be diving into quite a few things. We're going to take y'all from present day back to like AD times, like yeah. So we're gonna go into a couple of things just to kind of recap to give y'all a little bit of what's gonna go down this evening. Is that we're going to jump into the topic of sensationalism. A lot of that is going on in the media right now, and we're gonna talk about that, and then we're gonna jump into who's actually controlling this media that's being put out. All right, and once we dive into that topic or that area of the presentation this evening, then we're going to take y'all down memory lane and show you all where this took place before. And yeah, so we're gonna dive into some things this evening. But we just want to make sure that everybody is in and we got good signal strength and everything. What's up, Miss Sweetness?
Sweetness in the house.
And let me get you so you'll be able to see the comments as they come through.
Yeah, we've got a lot of screens and
yeah, we got a lot of screens now, y'all. I'm just gonna
pull
this
more
up so you
technical.
can see it.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Got it.
All right. So here we go, y'all. What's up, Honeydew? Honeydew, how you doing?
Oh, Honeydew, how you feeling?
Yeah, let us know how you been feeling, how things are going. Our hearts definitely go out to you.
Yes.
So yeah, sending much love your way. Much love.
Much love, Honeydew.
Right. Awesome. All right. So now that I remember that when I share screens here that y'all can still see me, so I'm gonna be doing nothing crazy. I don't think we're not doing it. I'm gonna do anything too crazy last time. Okay, but I'm just gonna keep that in mind when we go about things next time. But let me just get myself situated here, and we are going to go right into it. Okay, so. Maybe I'm gonna let you introduce the sensationalism because I think you know a little bit more about this than I do.
Yeah, okay, you know more, but I'll go into it. So
I'll do the screen thing if you want.
Okay,
yeah.
So you do the technical stuff then.
Yeah,
got it organized. So sensationalism. We had posted something on Instagram a few, I would say
2 days ago.
About 2 or 3 days ago. Now we're not big into this whole politics stuff. Like we really not too much of a fan of that. But President Trump did really call out a reporter. And if you guys want to take a look at the clip, you can go to our IG, twinflame_unite, and you'll see the clip that we put together with him, telling the reporter, like, why are you trying to try this technique, which is the sensationalism. And pretty much what that is I'll just read it out here for you. We're going to put it up on the screen so you can see what type of technique this is and how it's always portrayed in the media. So sensationalism is a type of editorial tactic in mass media. So it's a tactic that the media uses with events and topics in the news stories are selected and worded to excite, the greatest number of readers and viewers. So it's kind of like they exaggerate what's going on. And so it's a tactic that they use like a form of either they do in smokes and mirrors or they do in a form of mind control or sometimes both. So this style of news report encourages biased impressions of events rather than neutrality. Like they won't really give you the facts. They'll kind of polarize it depending on what the agenda is. And it may cause a manipulation to the truth of the story, which is what's been going on for centuries.
Yes.
And sensationalism may rely on reports about generally insignificant matters and portray them as a major influence on society, like, oh my God, you're about to die. You know, we got to fix it, right? And so you guys can read more, you can do a little bit more research on it, but it's just a way of exaggerating the truth to get a certain type of reaction out of people. And I think that's going to take us into the next topic.
Yeah, and actually, before we jump into that, I'm gonna actually give y'all a live demonstration of this, right? Because when we talk about sensationalism, if you all are familiar with clickbait, for example, you see something where somebody's falling or somebody's hitting somebody, or you seeing something explode, you're like, oh man, let me see what that is. Click, click, like that's sensationalism. And the whole reason for that is for you to see the ads. But let me just show something here. I'm gonna just pull this up. I'm not gonna say it, I'm just gonna type it.
Seeing is believing, you know.
Okay. Now, bam, this right here. Now, if it were me and I was looking for something that was entertaining, this right here looks pretty entertaining. I don't know what's going on here,
but you want to look at it.
But like, you got people in like
really like it's just really like,
I mean, stuff like that. And let's just see what's the latest news. Let's say news update, right? Now look, you got people in masks, like
stay at home, like, you know, it's
endorsing ending China cases rise, which they are not. If anybody's in the know, China hasn't had any new cases of this event for the past 2-3 weeks now. It's been almost a month and they haven't had any new cases. So, you know, this is just some of the stuff that's out here, like images like this. It's all sensationalized. It's trying to grab your attention. And we're wondering, like, why are they so hell-bent on our attention? Okay, well, actually, let me just click on something here. I'm actually going to go back and show y'all something here. I'm just waiting for this screen to upload, and actually, let me go ahead and share it while I'm waiting for it to load here. Okay, move out the way. No, I am not doing that.
That's the one thing about commercials.
Okay, now this is a clear case. Okay, golly, no, I am not trying to sign in. See, they do this clickbait stuff so that you will click on their little snippet of news so that they can down the line sell you something. How do I get this off the screen?
Right here.
No, that's something else. Wow, they won't even let me go past, like they want me to subscribe to something. I'm not even doing that. Let me see if I click on something else. I'm just going to show y'all the reason why they're using this clickbait, right?
It's crazy.
You got to excuse our computer. It's a little slow. Once again, the computer fund is still up and running. So if y'all want to donate, y'all can donate us a faster computer, right? Okay. But here we go. Because like over here on the side, you got this advertisement for CBS. And we're about to jump into some information as to why CBS is doing this. You got all these different advertisements over here on the side. They want you to click through this stuff so that they can make money. Okay. Now, this would be cool if the money and everything was going to like your normal mom and pops, or just your average Joe that's trying to make money, right? But a lot of this money is not going into the pockets of the people that you think it would actually go into.
No.
Okay? And that goes into the next part that we wanted to cover is who's putting the information in front of your face.
And why?
And why. And it used to be that it was a big number of companies that actually shared this information with you. And actually, I'm going to pull up one other thing other than this one, because that little diagram does give a pretty good
that's a
explanation of this. Hold on a second. All right.
Yeah,
we're about to go back through and share this. Hold on, let me make sure it's the right one before I start sharing. Yeah, okay. All right. Now, let's see what's going on. What's going on in the comments? Babe?
Oh, they're just chiming in. Let's see. Ash says, I'm still working through all of this mess. I got pulled into y'all videos, though I couldn't stay away. Oh, thank you for joining.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Marshawn is here. What's up, Marshawn?
Marshawn in the building.
What's up? What's up? What's up? It says, somebody says, Jamal says, it feels like a distraction from what's really about to happen. That is quite correct.
We're gonna
get into that too.
Just stay with us. We're leading up to something to open you all's eyes to some things that are going on. Now, if you look at this diagram here, it actually gives a pretty good explanation as to what was going on. Mm-hmm. Now, back in 1983, which is my year, 80s baby, right? There used to be a lot more companies that were in control of the media. So like it was more spread out, right? Now, you look at 2011, there are only like 6 companies that are actually running everything. And when you scroll down and you look into this, you have GE, which may not really be up to date. I think this infographic that was created isn't really up to date today, but I got some other information we're going to share with you. But you got News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, and CBS. And the reason I say this is not up to date, because if you look here, that GE has Comcast. Comcast pretty much owns GE now. Right. And let me switch over, and I'm going to actually share that with you all so you all can see how this really breaks down. And I think Disney owns Fox now. Oh yeah, they've been doing a lot of shifting. A lot of shifting. Okay. I'll just wait for this to show up with the screen. And bam, there we go. All right. So if you all can see here, there is you want to talk about a dark web. Like this is a whole web of mess. So all of the information that is being pumped out, like for Disney, for example, like Disney owns Fox, Disney owns Pixar, Disney also owns Marvel, they also own Lucasfilms, and then when you look at Comcast, Comcast, you know, Donald Trump put them on blast on there as well. Yeah, because if you look into this, Comcast is one of the biggest. Yeah. Like you can think about it, like Comcast offers internet, they offer cell phone service, they have printing companies, they have movie companies, they own like a lot of stuff. And y'all, the reason why we're sharing this with you all right now is because we wanted to really put this in your awareness, in your field, and to let y'all know that it's been here for a very long time. This is not something we had to go to a back alley or anything and dig up for this information. This is the apocalypse. Right. The veil has been lifted. There is nothing that's being hidden anymore. If you want to find out some information, you can simply Google it. Just go type in some information and you will find it. Now, today is Kelrick's birthday. Today's the 23rd. So nice. Happy birthday, Kelrick. Happy birthday to ya.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday.
Shout out to Carrie.
Yes.
We appreciate you. Oh boy. But yeah, so when you look into this sensationalism that's going on, it's way past fake news.
Way.
It's more about grabbing your attention, because your attention is key. There's actually a certain thing that's called attention economics. Attention economics, and you can look up that word. Probably, can you type that in for me, baby? We're gonna type that in the chat. It's called attention economics. Like, the dollar is not worth what it used to be. If y'all don't know by now, the thing that is most precious right now is your attention.
Yes.
And you know, in coming up with this topic, and then I was also coming up with the thumbnail to put out for this, you know, I had to really check myself, because you know, when us as YouTubers, in order for us to get any type of traffic or anything like that, we have to make sure that the thumbnail is something that's going to attract attention, because we want y'all attention. Now, our motives behind wanting to get your attention is because we want to provide you all with some information that's going to help better your life, not just giving you fluff. Okay, so but still, I want to make sure that when we put a thumbnail out or we put a topic on there, that it's not something that's really clickbait, but it's actually something that has of some substance.
Right, not anything that's like misleading. So definitely for it to match what we're talking about.
Now, what we're talking about right now is not something that's new.
No,
it is not
very old and ancient.
It is not something that's new, and it's actually something that we're going to dive into as far as, okay. So now, if you understand that the majority of the information that's being put in front of your face, in front of your phone,
like literally,
right, in front of the newspapers, is all designed to make you think and act a certain way. Now, with this whole event that has come about since Friday the 13th,
these numbers,
this is something that is not new, and there's actually a tactic to it.
Yes.
Now, this website that we're about to share with you, this is not a website that we say that we would endorse, but just to have some information to show you what it actually means. But there's actually a video on here by David Ikes. If any of you all are familiar with David Ikes, he definitely does provide some good information.
He does.
All right. But let me zoom in on this.
But yeah, so we wanted to structure the video in such a way where you guys can be able to go down in history, do your own research, and not only do your own research, but just have a wider understanding of, why am I doing this research? Why is it necessary? And this will kind of help to calm people down just a little bit if we can find a way to show everyone that history repeats itself. And that's why, you know, a lot of these elites, they know exactly when to pull their stocks out. You just so happens to, pull it out right before it crashes. They know how to project just from the history. It always repeats itself, and it's because of this one thing right here.
Yeah, because if you all pay attention to certain things, there are like 3 senators that got in trouble because the whole thing about COVID-19, this is something that people knew months in advance. They knew it months in advance. And there are 3 particular senators up on the East Coast that got in trouble because they sold their stocks right before everything went down. And it's because they knew about it.
And you can Google it. Like it's,
Okay.
you know, it's everything is right there for you to Google.
All right. Well, what you're looking at right here is called the, this is so that you all can understand about the, and hopefully I say this right. Now,
I got it, baby. This is the Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. And if you guys want to see this in action, to see what it, you know, if you want to watch a movie, because I know you guys probably relaxing right now, there's a series on Netflix that we're looking at. It's very interesting, and it shows a lot of the corruption that's, you know, that went on in Africa. And what is it called? Queen
Sona.
Queen Sona.
Yeah.
So if you go on Netflix, this gives a perfect to the T example of what the problem, reaction, solution, tactic actually looks like. So this lady went into Africa, and what she did was she partnered with one of the Africans. She was Russian. She partnered with one of the Africans, local, who was trying to come up but needs help, needs the money. And what they did is they bombed the mall or whatever have you. And because she wanted to come in and infiltrate, but she needed them to gain her trust. So she's like, all right, cool. So I'm going to create the problem. I'm going to wait for y'all to react. Because guess what? I have the solution. The reason why you have the solution is because you created the problem in the first place.
Right, right.
But it's a tactic. And if you look here.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get that back on here.
Yeah, you'll see it right here. It says, first, the problem is created and designed to elicit a certain reaction out of the public. That's the whole point about it, aka coronavirus. Then the people demand something to be done about the problem, and willingly accept the pre-planned, okay, so pre-planned NWO, New World Order, which is a solution. A solution that always involves actions or legislation that never would have passed under normal circumstances.
Right. Yeah. So they already know. And once again, you all did an awesome job. And I'm saying the people who awoke, you all did an awesome job in actually foiling their plans of what they intended for this whole event to happen. Because they ran drills on this whole thing. And they wanted to actually have more deaths than there actually were. Okay?
Allegedly.
Yeah. So because they had already came up with the problem, it was like, okay, we're going to put this virus out. There's going to be a bunch of people that die. And then everybody's going to come to us and like, oh, what can we do to, we need to solve this problem. Like, here I come. Oh, I have a vaccine. Right? And then they come out and they administer the vaccine, which who knows what's in that vaccine.
But it's a solution to their problem. Might not be a solution to your problem. But somebody said they learned about the Hegelian dialectic from the passing away of Prodigy. That was the last album, and so boom. So you could just use common sense and see it. You know, it's playing out right in front of our eyes right now. It is playing all the way out. It's like a movie. It's like watching a movie. You can't even believe what you're really witnessing right now. A whole movie just unfolding. So it's really no different right now. Wake up and I'm like, this got to be a movie. This cannot be real life right now. Go outside, it's like a ghost town. People wearing masks and everybody's just scared, and the news is not even making it any better. So we just figure that, you know, with our small audience that we have, we want to definitely spread hope and spread awareness to get everybody to just raise up and realize that this is not the first time that something like this has happened, and hopefully it's the last. But it's definitely not the first.
And Ash, it is so funny that you said that it's like a movie, because there is a template, there is a pattern that is going on, and most people are not aware of this pattern that's going on, and we're about to dive into that in just a second. because there's so much to this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's going on now has happened in the past, and it happened a long time ago. Okay? Now, for any of those, I'm just going to give a pre-warning here, right?
Boy.
For any of those in the religious sector, okay, what we're about to disclose is not an attack on any type of individual that practice any type of religion.
Not at all.
Because we all have free will to practice whatever we want to practice.
Whatever you want to do. If you want to see a stone and that's your God, and and the trees is Jesus, we not judging nobody.
Right.
That's what you do, and that's what you do. If that makes you happy, boom.
So if your religion is handling snakes, go right at it.
Right.
If your religion is worshiping rocks, go right at it.
Right.
If your religion is worshiping Jesus, you can definitely go right at it. But one of the things that's missing out of these religions, I would say, is the trust
and the truth.
Okay, and the truth, because yes, like Christianity has provided a good platform for people to build on to be good human beings. Yes, but the origins in which it was created is not cool.
It's far from, it's the opposite.
It is not cool. And so and just a quick note before I pull up this information, one of the other reasons why we wanted to share this is that because with the times that we're in, it is so easy for them to put some type of projection in the sky saying that this is the second coming of Jesus, when that already happened. And I'm going to show y'all proof about that, how it already happened. And then the other thing is, I want to give a warning to those that are in or trying to get into relationships, and the person that you're with, they still go to church, they're still heavy in the church and things like that. With the information that we're about to share, don't take this information and just throw it in their face. Don't do
that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let people grow. Let them have their growth.
Right. Now, let's get into it, y'all. Okay. So, the Holy Bible, right? Where did it come from? Where did it come from?
And why are people afraid to ask?
Okay, so we're going to dive into some topics that most people are not aware of. But once again, before we did this video, I probably spent half of the day researching this, maybe at the most 5 hours. Okay, 5 hours I was able to go through and find this information that we're about to show with you right now. Okay, so let's get into it. We're just gonna get right into it.
Let's just do it.
We're gonna share some information with y'all, and if y'all catch it, y'all catch it.
Right, and do your own research. This is like surface stuff that we're touching on right now. This is just the scraping of the iceberg. We say it's deep, but it goes so far, so deep. And you can just use this as like a starting point to do your own due diligence, get your own truth and understanding from, the origin of things. Because, what happened is that when you have a war, let's say, let's imagine World War II, whatever, right? Let's just take that for instance. The people that win the war, they're the authors of the stories. They get to really write the books. And you got to think about it. Like if you have an argument or you have a fight with an enemy or whatever have you, let's say your enemy won that fight. Your enemy don't never tell the truth. That's why y'all fighting in the first place, because they always lying. They're always telling stories.
Yep.
So it's no different. It is no different. So the one that won is the one that's love to tell the story. That's why they tell it so damn well. It just sounds good, but it's not necessarily the truth. And so when you tell a lie for centuries, you know, most people forget about the origin, you know, where this thing generated from. And so you're taught from your ancestors and ancestors and ancestors that, you know, this is the truth. And eventually nobody questions it because you weren't taught really in school, you know, how to think. They teach you what to think and not to question things. That's why, and you know, it's a big deal. Like, you know, we don't question God. You know, he's holy, and you know, the thing will come down on you. You'll go to hell and you'll burn, but he loves you. So, and for when you're little, you're confused. You're like, well, this doesn't make any sense. If God loves me, why would he want me to burn in hell?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're about to get into it. But before we get into the Bible and its origin, I'm going to give you a little back history. Okay. Yeah, we are guys, Marshawn. Yeah, you're definitely right. But this all began back in Rome, back in like 68 AD, right? Now, if you see this image here on the right, this is Nero. He was one of the Caesars of Rome, of the Roman Empire. Now, Nero was one of those individuals that when he was king, when he was ruling, he was just spending money.
What's your De Niro?
He was just flowing it out. And what ended up happening is that he pretty much bankrupt the Roman Empire. And because of his spending habits and his whole ego, it pretty much put the Roman Empire in shambles. It pretty much divided things to the point where the Roman Empire almost fell. Okay?
And we're going to say almost. Pay attention to the word almost.
It almost fell. Now, this is stuff that you all can look up for yourselves. I'm putting information out here, we're putting information out here that you can readily see with your own eyes. And these are people that you can actually go back and research, because there's one individual who we're going to talk about in just a moment that you cannot go back and research. And there's a reason why. Okay? But, okay, so because of Nero's negligence, he pretty much lost his seat at the Roman Empire. And for like an entire year, Rome had like 4 different emperors. And there was so much of division within the Roman Empire that like one king, once somebody became Caesar, somebody else was behind his back plotting to kill him. Okay, so this went on until about 4 different Caesars. Now, what happened was, let me, go to his page.
Let's pull this guy up.
Okay, so what happened is Vespasian, okay? Vespasian was already a part of the Roman Empire, but he was off somewhere else conquering land for Rome. But he got wind of what was going on and how Nero was messing things up, and ended up that now we got all of these different Caesars taking over, and he really loved Rome. He really loved Rome, and he wanted to go back and he wanted to take it over. So once he found out what was going on, he and his son, he went and took his army from the north and from the south and told everybody to march on Rome so that he could take over Rome. And as a result of that, he became the new Caesar. Okay? Now, Vespasian had 2 sons. He had one son, his name was Titus, and the other one was does it say his son's names on here? Yeah, here it is. I keep forgetting how to pronounce his name.
I think it's Domitalia.
Domitalia, there you go. Domitalia, okay? But Titus was his favorite. Titus was his warrior, his soldier, right? He was the oldest son. And let me go back to Titus. Okay, so Titus here was Thespian's golden child, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything that he wanted to go down, he would go to his son because he knew his son would be able to do so. Now, actually, let me back up a little bit just to give a little bit more history of what's going on. During the time that Thespian took over the Roman Empire, he had a little problem. He had a little problem, right?
We imperfect.
He had these nagging Jewish soldiers that were down by in Israel that were causing problems. Okay, when you look into the history of what was going on during that time, Caesars during that time said that people can worship anybody they wanted to worship, right? It doesn't matter what you want to do, go right ahead. But make sure you have a statue of Caesar in your temples. Okay. Now the Jewish people, the original Jewish people, did not like this idea.
Right. We're gonna to differentiate them. We're gonna say Jews, and we're gonna say Jewish. Because if you understand what Jewish means, it doesn't mean a real thing. When you say blackish, if you say, oh, they're blackish, right? You know what that means, that ish, right? It's not the real thing. So today is what they call the Jewish. It's not the real thing. We're talking about the real originals.
Yeah, the real deal Holyfield, right? Okay. So he had this problem because they wouldn't put Caesar's statues in their temples. And he was like, no, I can't have that. And, you know, if you know about the Roman Empire, anybody that came up against them, they pretty much dealt with them in a very violent way. Very violent. Okay. These were not nice people. They were not nice at all. Okay. And so Thespian had his son Titus to go down there and conquer the Jews. Okay. Now, Titus did this in a couple of different ways. And I want you all to pay attention to this because it's going to be real important for something that's going to come up in a few minutes. Okay. But what happened was Titus went down, he beat the Jewish army and pretty much crippled them, right? I forget the name of the city and I should have pulled that up. But there's there are a couple of different wars that the Roman Empire went through under this particular Caesar. And if you Google that information and look at the wars that Rome went through during this time period between 69 AD up until about late 70 AD, they had a lot of different wars that they were going through and they were fighting the Jewish for the land, right? So the first time they went through, they pretty much demolished their entire little town, like pummeled everything and decimated everything, killed all of the men, women, and children. Okay, this is Rome. This is Rome. Okay, now the next war was the real pivotal one. Okay, because what happened is that Titus led his army of men. They met down at the Sea of Galilee, and he was like, he went and talked to his soldiers like, look here, we got to go into the city, we got to take it over because, and if y'all follow me, I'll make y'all captures of men.
That sound familiar?
just keep that in there. And once again, I'm not a historian. That's why I got this. That's why we had this information pulled up here so that you all can actually do the research yourself. Yeah. But what happened is that he went to Jerusalem, right? And he went into Jerusalem, and instead of going through and fighting them head on, what he ended up doing was building a wall around Jericho.
I remember the walls of Jericho.
He built a wall around Jericho. And he said that since we can't take y'all out this way, what we're going to do is we're going to starve y'all out. Mm. They pretty much built the wall around the city so that nobody can get in, nobody can get out. So they ended up starving and dying.
It's crazy.
Okay. And then Titus built a tower that was tall enough so that he could see over the wall so that he would know once everybody died, right? Then once the people finally died, they went in and they pillaged the entire city. And then they went inside of their holy temple and they took everything out of there as well. They went inside of their holy temple and they took everything. All right. Now, if y'all are following me so far, just drop a comment, let us know, because I know we going into some deep stuff.
It's some deep stuff, but it's worth it though.
We got 17 people strong here.
It's worth it though.
It's worth it. Okay. All right. So this next character is one that you're going to want to know as well. Okay. But we're going to go back into Titus just here for a second. So what happened was, the walls came tumbling down. Yep.
Humpty Dumpty.
All right. So what happened was, and I'm just summarizing here, okay? What happened was, after Titus won this battle, they took everything back to Rome and they put it on display for everybody to see. And
show-offs.
But there's one thing that they didn't put out for everybody to see. And that was the holy scriptures that they took from the holy temple, from the Jewish temple. They took those holy scriptures and they like tucked it in the back so nobody else could see. But they burned all the other books. They burned all of the text. They burned any type of writings that they had. And they thought that they got everything. And I say that they thought they got everything because if you know history or his story, you'll know that the Dead Sea Scrolls just happened to pop up out of some caves.
I don't know where it came from. It just...
Oh yeah. But yeah, what's going on, Charles? Oh, sleepy but here. Okay.
That's what's up.
Hopefully we'll bring a little bit more energy into you. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit so y'all can see what's going on. Okay, and actually let me check something. Oh, it's already 10:30, Lord.
It's late.
All right, so I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. So they took the holy text out of actually let me stop sharing this for a second so y'all can see our faces, give you a little bit more energy.
Yes. Okay, bring it.
So what happened was, after they won this battle, they took the holy text out of the temple and they kept it for themselves, right? And Vespasian thought this was the end. Like, I pretty much knocked out all of the Jews, and now they just gonna fall in line with everybody else. And when in Rome, you do what the Romans do.
That's where that come from,
right? Now, but that wasn't the case. That was not the case.
Kind of like the COVID-19 didn't go like how they planned it, huh? It wasn't the case.
No, not at all. Because see, the based on their religious text of the Jewish people, which I hope I'm saying it in the right way as far as the original Jews, but in their holy text, their God was not one that gave up easily. Their God was a warrior. He was a soldier. So when it came time to stand up for their rights, they were like, oh, we're going to follow after our God and we're going to defend our religion to the end. We'll even die for this. And y'all know how that goes.
Right.
Okay. So Thespian was like, man, you know what? We got to figure out a way to take these people out. We got to figure out how to get rid of this whole Messiah that they just say is coming. How about we give them a Messiah? No joke. No joke,
These people
y'all.
been at this for a while, man. They've been at this for some time now. They're professionals.
No joke. I'm about to show y'all the one who actually helped them in accomplishing this. Right? Wait for that to come up on the screen there.
These people are professionals, guys. They know what they're doing.
Right. Now, this gentleman here, Joseph Bathamus, I hope I'm saying that correctly because it's like Hebrew and I'm not, you know.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
But Joseph, okay, this gentleman here, out of everything that happened with his people in Jerusalem, he was one of the few that survived. And during that time, he actually went to Caesar and told him that he would like to be in alliance with him. And Caesar at the time liked what he was sharing, so he's like, okay, you can stay with us, right? Now, when it came time for them to come up with this Bible, because they were like, okay, let's give them, they want a Messiah, let's give them one. So they came up with the whole plan to create the Bible. Now, the Bible that they created included Hebrew text and it included Roman doctrine. Now, you have to ask yourself, how did they get translate Jewish text into the Bible when they had already killed out all of the Jews? Well, at least the ones that were going to cooperate with them, because no other Jews was going to help them in creating a fictitious Bible.
Wait, sorry, I don't mean to laugh. Let me stop.
Oh boy. But so this guy here, Joseph, teamed up with the king, or excuse me, teamed up with Caesar, because they weren't kings then. Everybody that ruled was Caesar. Okay. Now, prior to getting into this, there's one other thing that I need to point out to y'all. And is this gonna pop up or is it not gonna? Is this working?
It looks like we might have too many tabs open up.
Oh boy, hold on. Let me hide this for a second. No, not that one. I'm gonna hide that.
There you go. Yeah,
oh wow, I just opened up a
lot. It's a lot of tabs. Sorry guys. Too much. Got a little carried away up here. That is a lot of tabs.
Oh boy. I hope I ain't lock up the thingy bob. Oh, let me stop this screen share for a second. I'm actually going
to have to close out some of these tabs. We got carried away. Our bad.
Okay, so I'm just going to break this down, and if you can type this in for me.
Got you.
There were 3 families that were pivotal in putting this Bible together. Okay. Back to where did it go?
And you guys can just go and research this yourself. Just so you can have some type of history on. Like, think about it. If you are reading something, right? Or if you have a God that you're worshiping and things of that nature, or somebody that you look up to, you want to know where they came from. Like it's a physical. Come on now, let's just come into the logic for a little bit. It is a physical book.
Yeah.
So somebody had to write the book.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wrote this book? And
it wasn't John. It wasn't Peter. It wasn't Matthew.
And it sure wasn't JC, Big J. It sure wasn't him.
Yeah, he didn't write anything.
And there's not even his name. This is the thing that confused me up to this day. That is not even the man's name. They gave him a whole new name, a whole new identity.
So since my tabs are still acting crazy, I'm just going to have to put this in. So there are 3 families that came into connection with Caesar. Okay, so you have the Fabians. That's spelled Flavians. Okay, the Fabian dynasty. And the person that was over that was Vespian. Okay, Caesar. He was over that family. The other family that helped out in creating this scripture was the Herods, Herods. Okay. And in addition to that was the Alexandria family. And I'm pretty sure y'all are familiar with the Alexandrias. Okay. So these three families, in conjunction with Joseph, came together and wrote a text to provide the people with the Messiah, which you have your Holy Bible. Now, this first version that came out didn't actually talk about Jesus. Jesus hadn't come into the picture yet. Okay. Their Messiah, the whole thing that Vespasian and Titus wanted to do is that they wanted the people to believe that they were gods.
Mm-hmm. And then we should show them what the meaning of the word Messiah really means.
Oh, I will once that
we
stop.
we gotta get this to catch itself because we had a lot of tabs open up.
We were doing too much clicking and
we got real excited. How bad?
bad? As soon as I can get that cleared up and not mess up anything here, then we'll pull that back up. But I'm just going off the dome right now. Okay, but yeah, so these individuals came together and they created their holy text of the Holy Bible, and they wrote the text in such a way that the people would believe that Caesar and his son were gods. That was their whole thing, because they're like, okay, these Jewish people want a Messiah. Let's give them a flesh and blood Messiah. Write the story and make us the stars, right?
Crazy.
Because you got to understand, the one who wins the war is the one that tells the story.
Mm-hmm. And if your enemy won, they ain't gonna say nice things about you.
No, they are not. So when that came out, which is something we're about to get into in just a moment, and they presented this text to the people, they were like, you can't be the Messiah.
How come?
Like, there's no way. How can you be God?
Right. That don't make any sense.
Now, these people are really smart. The Fabians are very, very smart. They didn't come into power by accident.
No.
And when they created the Bible, they created it in such a way because they knew that the people were going to say, "Oh, y'all are not gods. This is a holy text, but it doesn't show that it's you." I was like, okay. So what Titus did is that he got together and he wrote out some information. They did a little bit of revision. They did some revision. They did some revision to the Bible. And they did this thing where it's called typography, not type. I wish I could type this in, but here, because this thing's still kind of running a little slow right now. It's probably because we got so much stuff going in.
Typography.
No, not that typography. Here you go. TYPL. Excuse me. TYP.
Typology.
Yeah, there you go. Typology. Okay. Typology. And is this still frozen?
There you go, guys.
Okay.
Typology.
Yeah, that is still frozen. All right. So okay. So typology. Typology is a template for putting together a story. Okay. So when you look at the way that they do stories, and they do this in Hollywood today as well. So don't think that these stories that are being put out as movies, as entertaining as they may be, they're not original. So what happened was, when they constructed this scripture, they put it together in such a way that it really followed the template of typology, which is you take an old situation, an old event that already happened, because when they wrote the Bible, they took information from other messiahs that came before. If y'all are familiar with Horus, if you're familiar with Krishna, if you're familiar with all of those gods who all were born of a virgin.
Same story.
Had not 22.
Died at 30, what is it? Died at 33, 32?
Yeah, died at 32.
Birthday,
had 12 disciples.
Birthday December the 25th.
Like all of these messiahs that came before, they pretty much took that information and they applied it to it. So they took that divinity story and they applied it to the Bible. But with typology, what you do is you take those stories, you remix them a little bit, and then you add some information that's relevant to what's going on in that present day. Okay?
Jeez.
Now, once again, this is something that you can research and find for yourself, because there are certain parallels that follow from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Okay, and one of those parallel situations is Moses and Jesus. Okay, and when I say that, when you think about this, you know, when you look at the story of Moses, there was a Joseph that went from Egypt back to Jerusalem. And in the story of Jesus, there was a Joseph that came from Egypt that went to Jerusalem.
Same thing.
Okay. And so this is all, it's really a setup, and I'm gonna show you how the setup works. During the time that Moses was around, there was a emperor or pharaoh that was trying to kill the kids. During the time of Jesus, there was an emperor or pharaoh that was trying to kill the kids. They both they both passed through water. Moses parted the Red Sea. Jesus, it's more of a Passover. It's more of a Passover situation. So Moses parted the Red Sea, and Jesus received his divinity by being baptized by John the Baptist, right? Once again, Moses went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. And both were tempted 3 times by the devil. Okay? So what's going on here is that in the story that they wrote of Jesus, and once again, I know we're going in deep, so y'all got to give me some feedback. Let me know if y'all still here.
Hope y'all still with us.
Oh, boy. But what was going on here? Okay. So what they were doing was setting up the story to show the divinity of how God worked through these people. Like God worked through Moses, time went on, then God worked through Jesus. Okay? Now, this is how they tied Titus and his father into being gods, right? Because when they wrote the Bible, they wrote certain prophecies that were going to happen a generation later, where they said that there was going to be a son of man. A son of man will be born 1 generation from the leaving of Christ. This was one of the prophecies that Jesus, prophesied, right? Okay. And so they purposely wrote this into the story, because what happened during that time, a generation meant 40 years. Okay. You can look up the information, research it yourself. So 40 years after Jesus died, the new Caesar was born. Are y'all catching me so far? Like they purposely wrote this in the book to show the divinity of somebody who is not what they say they are. But then there are other prophecies that Jesus wrote in there, which is how Jerusalem would fall. Okay? Once again, loosely putting it, because I can't pull up the information on here, but Jerusalem would fall. And it did, because Titus built a wall around Jerusalem and starved the people out and killed everything. And then there's also the prophecy that Jesus said about how this particular city will be brought to rubble and a new temple will be built on top of it, and no stone will be placed above it. And Titus actually did that. When they destroyed that city, they built another temple on top of it. So Titus put this paperwork together, brought it back to the elders, whoever it was who wasn't accepting that they were gods. And so they showed them, like, here in this holy text, you see, Jesus prophesied that these things would happen, and they did happen. And this Caesar was born 40 years exactly like the prophecy said. So he's God, and I am the Son of Man.